happy birthday, anyways.
Thanks.
It's funny. I had this thought this morning. I'm like, isn't Scott's birthday in November like mine, or February like mine? And then while you were away, I was looking at my email, and I think from the first time we connected on Skype, I got like your birthday in my calendar because Skype did that.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, your reminder for Nimrod 2000 Mills' birthday. Oh, okay.
Yeah, like usually I think on like Facebook I get inundated with happy birthday messages that I ignore.
Hmm.
Uh no, that's not true. I usually like the next morning say thanks everybody and that's it. And then like my cell phone I'll get flooded with text messages and I don't respond. The same thing with the New Year's. I don't respond. When people say Happy New Year's, I'm like
It just means I'm getting older.
yeah,
One
I don't.
year closer to death.
Yeah, I don't do well, man. Because like, I mean, that's just the way I'm wired. I mean, you probably could tell, and I think you've called me out on it, that I tend to focus on what's wrong instead of what's right, and I tend to obsess over it. And I literally blame that on my mother. Like, I do. Like when report cards would come out, she didn't care about the A's and B's. She wanted to see like not necessarily C's, but she wanted to see like the D's. She didn't care about anything else. She didn't celebrate the success. She wanted to interrogate the failures. And yeah, that's the way I'm wired.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of moms do that. I think my mom did. She was really good, but of course, I never really had D's though. So, um, but
No, I think
I can see that with my daughter and my wife.
I mean these weren't the norm, but like that's what my mother would focus on. That's what she would obsess with. It wasn't like, oh, let's see how great Scott is doing. It was more of like, and this is the way I interpret it. Like, let's find a reason to ground him for another season, right? And like, I don't know if I told you offline, but like when I would get disciplined, first I would get whooped. Second, I would have to write 500 times I will not do XYZ. Third, I would get put on punishment. Well, no. I'm sorry. I left something out. First, I would get whooped by my mother. And then she said, wait till your father comes home, right?
Oof. Yeah.
My father would come home from work, high blood pressure, 6'3", 300 pounds. Scotty did what? And then I'll get yoked up. I'll get, whooped by him. Then I would have to write 500 times, I will not do XYZ. And then I would get put on punishment. Not for the day, not for the weekend, not for the week. No. I would get put on punishment for a season, like, fall, winter, summer. Like I would get
Yeah.
sentenced. And so I'm sure between like my religious background that I was raised in, as well as the discipline methods that my parents imposed on me, uh, probably is responsible for some of the social awkwardness that I have today. Not to treat this as a therapy session, but it's history, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Although I always tell people who've been through something that somewhat traumatic, it's like I think those times kind of teach you though. Like it sucks that they happen, obviously, but like if you've gone through them, it you come out stronger than most people because you have some resiliency that and some adversity that you've had to overcome. Um, being grounded and secluded means that maybe you developed a talent that wasn't social that made you successful in some other way. There's always like a yin and a yang to these things, it seems.
I
So
mean, in regards to like stoicism, yeah, but hell, like as a kid, like I don't believe in grounding a kid even for like more than a weekend. Like time is so short in life that I sincerely believe your most treasurable experiences is that of childhood. I really do believe that. After childhood, like the world doesn't care about your feelings. And so I don't know. I kind of wish that I had a childhood like everybody else, in which my childhood was still great, but I think it could have been better.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it was good or justified or anything like that. I'm just more saying that, um, like, I think people who do have to go through adversity in childhood in some way come out as you know, in a lot of cases, come out as better human beings in their later in life. So maybe maybe it was, you know, maybe you'd gone down a completely different path if you had it as easy as other people.
I probably would have. I mean, one thing that I believe is fact is I'm severely disciplined. Like like in regards to grit, in regards to consistency compared to others from like my background or my childhood or my peers, like I'm just way more disciplined.
Yeah.
And apparently there's a disconnect. Like I'll get into arguments with like my baby's mother where I'm like, like why aren't you working out? Exercise. Oh, like it's hard and I'm taking care of your son, this, that, and the other, and I don't have time. I'm exhausted. I'm like, F that. I take my son with me when I work out. Like I'm doing pull-ups and dips in the yard. I integrate him into my lifestyle. And I think there's just a disconnect where and maybe it was like too many Tony Robbins videos where like when he says the reasons why you don't have what you want is because you're not being resourceful enough. And I take it literally. Like, well, what can I do to get what I want? Right? Am I really exploring every single um, channel in order to achieve something that I'm obsessing over or something that I know um, is absolutely vital in order for me to live the next 5 years without health issues or this, that, and the other. And I don't know. I think I just take things a lot more seriously than others, which is a gift and a curse. I definitely am a late bloomer, which is unfortunate with almost everything in my life. So kissing, making money, uh, driving. I was driving at 17, but I think a lot of other things, a lot of other experiences. I think on average, I experienced a lot later in life compared to everybody else. Mm.
Yeah. And I guess, back to my point then, I wonder how much your childhood kind of formed that. And I think that's what you started with is it's probably because of my mom that I did this. And she focuses on the negative, but maybe
Yeah.
there was something where their techniques made you more driven than random people like myself.
Well, a
So,
combination of that and me getting kicked out the house and facing homelessness and being absolutely terrified and that being a traumatic experience and me never ever wanting to not have a place to sleep, not have a shower to go to. Like I think part of that is part of my drive or my work ethic.
yeah,
Um,
probably
and,
more than more of that.
and then like obviously skin color, right?
Yeah.
So like real talk, I have it. I have this thing with me where, and I calmed it down some, but internally, like I still operate off of it, and I just don't disclose it as much. Where I have to outperform mainstream, right? I have to outperform like white people, whatever, in order for me to have the same opportunities. And that's the way that that's my belief system. That's the way I'm wired. So I tend to like go above and beyond to demonstrate. I don't want to use the word like elitism, but to demonstrate like why I'm deserving of a certain opportunity or job title or whatever. Just because I feel like sometimes I don't know. I just feel like sometimes society may question if the position that I'm in is really something that I earned through skill or something that is part of diversity from HR. And you know, I try to go out of my way to demonstrate the first part. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate that I think that was a side effect of affirmative action, right? Was that feeling like it was forced or whatever, and now that puts it onto puts extra stress on you, which probably isn't fair.
yeah, I have no hair.
Yeah, I'm losing my hair. But were your birthdays at all happy growing up then, or
I don't celebrate birthdays.
did your
Even
family
to
not?
even to this day, I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, they don't celebrate anything, don't? Is that right?
No, they the only it's not really a recognized holiday, but the only quote unquote holiday that's not like recognized is the memorial or AKA the Passover.
Hmm.
For Jesus
Yep.
like Last Supper.
Yeah.
So that I get inundated with text messages. What is it? Nice and 14. I get inundated with text messages. Are you coming to the memorial? And I'm like, me going to your memorial is not going to result in me living forever on a paradise earth of me just going this one evening. So if there's not a return on investment for me going there, then you guys literally just want me to show my face because I don't see any reason and I don't believe what you believe. So
Man, you got to get birthday parties then. Have some cake and some candles and balloons.
swinger parties. That's what I need to
I was talking last week about
get.
to my brother-in-laws when we were on the fishing trip. I was explaining to them that apparently if you put a pineapple bumper sticker on your car, that means you're in the lifestyle. And
I did not know that, but I
okay,
understand its context. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know where I found that from. I don't know if it was a TikTok or something, but somebody had like put a pineapple on the back of their car because they like pineapples, and then they kept getting propositioned and talked to.
You remember? I think it was. I want to say it was like around 2009, 2010, where the news was blowing up over like a congressman that had went to the men's bathroom and in his stall he was tapping his feet so that the stall next to him would recognize that he wanted to do some hanky panky and it was a like an undercover cop or something in the other stall. Does that sound familiar at all? That like when you're sitting down on the toilet in a public restroom, like in a stall, you tap your feet so that the person in the next stall can see it, and that's supposed to mean like you're down for
Yeah.
some. I used to joke around to do that when I would at work when I would go to the restroom. I would like sit on the toilet, check my text messages, and I'll see. I could recognize like the shoes of one of my coworkers, and they would sit down in the stall next to me without knowing that I'm next to them, and I would like transition my foot so that they could see it, and I would tap 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 tap. Right, and that was during the
Yeah.
whole firestorm. So I used to think that was funny.
Yeah.
Um,
Workplace bathroom uh, stuff is weird. Like in my
oh,
first job,
oh yeah.
and at the first job that I had, we there was a bathroom, men's bathroom, and it would have two urinals right next to each other. And it was always like you'd go in there and you'd hope that nobody would come in because there's no divider or whatever. There
Yeah.
was this one guy who was kind of an older guy. He'd always come in and just kind of like put his hand up like this and just let everything hang out. And he'd just kind of like stand there like, and he'd talk to you like, "Hey, how's it going?" You know, and it was like, ah.
I hate locker rooms. Like when I used to go to like what do you call it? Fitness gyms or whatever you call it.
Hmm.
Um there's a certain demographic of people that they just free ball and just walk around casually, just butt naked without a care, like in the locker room. Like stuff is like sagging to their kneecap. Like it's always like white old
Oh
men
man.
that
Yeah.
don't care. I don't know if they come from the military and like they're just hardened and don't care, but I hate the locker room scene because it's always the same demographic and they just free ball it and just they'll sit on the bench without a towel under them, right? Just bare butt. Like that's one of the reasons why I prefer to just work out in the yard, outside, outdoors.
I haven't seen that yet since
You
I've been
haven't
going to
seen
the
that.
gym. Since I've
Uh,
been going to the gym that I go to, I haven't seen anybody even changing really.
straight out the
They
shower.
change, but yeah, no. I usually go into the changing room and there's like a little stall or whatever. I just change in there so that I'm not doing that in front of people because I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not somebody who could probably just let it all hang out like that.
Well, I think after a while, I would assume that they just don't care what other people feel. Like they don't. Maybe as you grow older, you just stop being insecure and you
Yeah.
stop caring about infringing on others and you just do you because hell, you got 5 years left in your life, so it's whatever.
Yeah, man, I tell you, I think there's something different about treadmill running that just I am not jiving with.
Oh, I
My
think 50 Cent made it popular in his music video in the club. He made it look cool. So like
treadmills?
when I run on a treadmill, I act like I'm 50 Cent running on that. You can find me in the club, something something something. You know that video?
Bottle full of bub. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
I'm running on there like I'm like I don't know some experimental specimen.
Maybe I'll have to watch that and I'll get
I think so.
some, some stuff. No, I listen to like a hard. I've got like a hard rock training station that I is on Pandora that I listen to, and um, there's songs that'll come on and I'll be like, yeah, and I'll start going harder or whatever. But I don't know, man. My shoulders have been hurting more. It's like my back was hurting yesterday running on the damn thing. I don't know. I never had these issues as bad just running on the street, but maybe
Do
that's
you?
because you have to go at a constant pace. You can't like like I don't know, slow down or speed up based on your mood
I don't
very
do it.
easily.
I don't do it that often. I mean, I got treadmills where I'm at. I don't even use the workout gym. We got two of them where I stay at, like inside
Yeah.
my complex. I don't use it. It's lonely in there.
I don't know why anybody would use a treadmill in Florida though. Wouldn't you just go out and run? Be,
No, I know why.
unless it's
Um,
cold, cold.
no, if you got a kid, then
Oh, I suppose.
yeah, because I mean, like yesterday, I couldn't do my 2 mile run, so I just ran laps in between garbage cans on the beach just so I could keep an eye on things. But yeah, like I mean, I think when you have kids and you have like a gym inside your complex, it's and you are disciplined. It's convenient.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
So you just hand the kid like a tablet or your phone, and then you just bang it out so that they could be entertained and not bother you.
Screen time.
Uh,
Man. Yeah, I just feel weird about that. It's like sometimes it's like here, just take this and shut up. I want to go do something else. I don't know.
I man, I think it's been like it's either 3 or 4 weeks since I worked on my passion project.
Well, you're literally not getting any younger, man.
Yeah, and it's like I'm like 90% done, but I got so holy. Have you ever seen a swimming pool Going down the street,
No.
I just saw one.
Huh.
Like a pool,
A whole pool.
a whole pool.
I suppose. I mean, they have to be big liners or whatever that
No,
go in
no,
there.
not
So,
the little round things that you see on like the commercials. No,
yeah.
I just saw like a pool that you would see like at a apartment complex or something.
Huh.
I didn't know you can. I didn't. I thought they dug out the ground. I didn't know it was like a fixture.
Well, I know that they do have to dig out the ground, but I thought it was like a
I didn't know it was a fixture. I didn't know like you throw it on the
I thought it
back
was
of a
a big ass
trailer.
liner. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a liner.
But yeah, I thought that
I
they
never saw
just
that
did it in
before.
place. I didn't realize that they pre-mold them.
I
Hmm.
guess it depends on how deep it is. I mean, that one looked like it was like maybe 6 feet. I never saw that before. Like I just saw it. Like looking out my window.
I need to win the lottery so I can build a big indoor pool at my house.
You win a lottery. I think it's highly likely that you'll fall into a depression, as- if people know about it.
Nah, nah, I think it'll be fine. I don't have other than maybe you and then my family. I don't really have any like friends that would be after me. So,
You
well, you
say
wouldn't be
that.
after me, but
Nah.
I don't think anyways.
Uh,
My wife and I already talked about our plan to give away money. It's like, okay, if we were to win the lottery, this would be the deal: is that we give, each one of our like siblings or immediate family this exact amount equally, and if they're a couple or whatever, we give them this amount or whatever, and then our parents get this amount, and then we're saying that that's it. You won't get anything more from us. Go away. I mean, that doesn't mean you wouldn't like pay for meals or whatever, but if you're out, but um, it'd be like here's a one-time cash donation. We're not giving you anything else, and then as long as we just give it evenly across the board.
you're not going to donate all your money to the pastor at the church,
Hell no, I don't go to church, man.
or leave the money to your dog.
My dog does
Well, you
no.
have two dogs, right? Or
Well, one of them
you had two dogs.
had two dogs. Yeah, one of them
Yeah,
died the
yeah.
first week of the year, and then our other one is still. He's just like he's gotten worse in his incontinence. Like now he can't control his bladder at all. It's just pee whenever he. We haven't like put on diapers on him, but he fills them up so fast. It's oh god. It's kind of one of these things where I think that their breakdown in older age and how much you have to care for them builds up kind of some like frustration that makes it easier to say goodbye. you know, like, oh, this will be actually really a relief. You don't want them to die, but it'll be kind of a relief when they do. So,
Yeah. My dog is still in Cleveland. My dog has been in Cleveland for over 2 years. I feel like once I take her back, she's older now, that she'll probably like pass out on me like in another year. So I'm like, man, maybe I should just leave her out there so she dies on the person that's providing care to her.
yeah, I suppose that'd be easier than going through it. But yeah, no, I wouldn't give money to dog. I think I would. I mean, we'd probably like prop up our property and buy like a lake house. And I think my plan was to start some sort of like I guess like a game development studio or something. Just like pay people to make games, and I could just be involved in it. I don't know if that would actually be interesting or not. I don't know. Maybe I'd start out like a hamburger place or something. Who knows?
I
I
would,
think I'd start a business anyways.
I would, uh, I think I have issues with the current law system so much in regards to policing. I think I would probably carve out an amount for lawyers that are known for taking taking the police departments to court, and I think I would support that. So,
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know if there's any charitable giving that I would have off the top of
like
my head.
Al Sharpton. That was a joke. I want to give it to Al Sharpton.
And
But
I don't know, like maybe an animal. Uh, I don't really know that there's any. I don't really have any causes, like I don't.
what? Okay, how about this? This is going to get me kicked off of YouTube. I'll say it anyway. This is going to get me kicked off of YouTube.
As long as you don't mention COVID vaccines in any
No,
bad, you're fine.
it's worse. Instead of saying the group, I wonder how many people donate their money to the Israeli resistance, right? Specifically, donate their money um, for the Palestinians to fight their persecution and their occupation. Like, even though that's really really far away from me, and even though those two groups, I don't really have that much in common. I really do sympathize with Palestinians, and it's weird because I feel as if you donate money towards that cause, somehow you're supporting terrorism. But what really is terrorism, right? Like, seriously, what
Yeah,
is
one man's
terrorism?
terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. It's the depends on what side of it you're on, I
Yeah,
suppose.
so
So it,
at least when I die and I have that motorcycle accident or I have that terminal illness, you can't prosecute me after I'm dead if I leave my money to a group that I believe is has been persecuted.
yeah, I don't think that you get looked at for terrorism for Palestinians. If you
Well, if
gave
you
it to like,
Hamas, you would.
yeah, yeah, I think that's a little different though. I don't get that vibe that the Palestinian like. There's enough people that are on that side of the fence with it.
But I said resistance, right? So you think about resistance, like the first thing you think about is Hamas, right? Hamas, like they're responsible for killing civilians, right? I mean, I don't think well, I think in the past they would like they were known for strapping up teenagers to walk up in cafes and detonate themselves, and like no, I don't support that at all. But I mean, who is really being proactive in defending the rights of the human rights of the Palestinians? Like who is doing it? And so that's the thing. It's like I don't know. It, like I said, YouTube will probably boot me, but like I feel bad every single time a video comes across my YouTube or on AlJazeera.com when I'm looking at the news, and I just see the way that they get treated. It bothers me. So like when I clock out, I think that's one of the things I would consider in regards to giving back.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. That's a hard situation. Um, just in general, I don't know that there's a good solution to it, really. Um, I don't think that I don't know whose idea it was it to put Israel back, but it wasn't probably the
The United
Israelis.
Nations.
Yeah, it wasn't really.
The United Nations. I thought 1963. I thought.
Yeah, yeah, it was after they were like, where do we put all these Jews from the Holocaust? Let's just throw them back
Yeah.
to Israel.
Let's just
Uh,
move these non-white people out, and let's the Jews they're closer to our skin color. Let's 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 give this to them. Oh yeah, and by the way, here's our policy. All right, everybody of white skin that's represented as a country, it's okay for you guys to have nukes, but any Middle Easterners, any Asians, any non-whites, if you guys have a nuclear program, yeah, we're going to put a stop to that. But it's okay for France, Israel, Uh,
It's India and China do. I don't understand.
and was that supported?
I'm
Was
sure it
it,
wasn't
it, it wasn't supported.
declined.
All
You
right.
can't stop. Well, I don't think it was. I don't think nuclear proliferation is supported in any way, shape, or form anymore.
It was supported by Israel. You think Israel just covertly developed their own nuclear program, or do you not think it was sanctioned by the United States?
Well, they probably allowed it at one time. I don't know that now anybody developing a bomb. They're certainly scared of
North Korea,
Korea and Iran.
Libya,
Yeah,
or Libya,
yeah.
Iraq.
Obviously, you don't want your enemies to be like to get the bomb.
You say enemies, but define enemies.
Yeah,
People that don't like your policy, but yet you're an imperialist, right? You have ships surrounding their country to represent your interest, right? So yeah, you don't. The whole point of having nukes is so that you don't get invaded. It's national security. That's North Korea. It's
yeah.
working out for
It's
them.
mutually well. North Korea is safe because of China.
No,
Don't
North
get
Korea is
get
safe
me
because
wrong.
they have nukes.
No, no.
Yes,
It's because of, like North Korea. If you really want to, they could do nothing. Like
they have
they,
nukes.
it doesn't matter.
It
They
does matter.
no, it doesn't. Like if let's just you take China out of the equation entirely, and it doesn't matter that they have nukes. Like they don't have the sophisticated technology to engage in like a mass scale war with the United States
They
or
don't need to.
anything
All
else.
they need to do is drop one effed up nuclear bomb with a quarter the yield of Hiroshima, and that's enough.
No, no, it's not
Okay.
because we have systems that shoot missiles down and stuff like that. It's
It's not 100%. And you say missile as if it's singular. No, you're in any country. They don't have to be sophisticated. It could be Afghanistan. Any country knows that you're going to unleash like 50. Ask the Palestinians. They'll unleash like 100, 200 different missiles with one of them having a nuclear warhead or a nuclear tip on it. Right?
yeah.
Right.
It like I said, it doesn't matter. If you take China out of the equation, South Korea is not a big deal. Um, I don't like you're saying that the United States couldn't take out, let's say, Israel if it wanted to. It could definitely.
I'm
It just
saying
doesn't.
that
It's not big enough. It doesn't have the resources to.
what I'm saying is
Yeah.
the United States has no history of invading a country that has nukes. They have no history.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't have it. They've only invaded like one country, two.
Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam. I would argue
Well,
they,
hold on. They didn't invade Vietnam.
what do you call it?
Well, because the French were there.
The French failed. The United States
Yeah.
came afterwards.
Yeah. That's not an
They
invasion.
lost
That
53,000 soldiers, and then they tapped out.
yeah.
And
Is that
lost
an
as in
invasion though?
fatalities. We're not even talking about injuries that we're probably still paying for today with tax dollars.
Did they have to land at the beach and fight immediately when they landed? No, because the Vietnam was half already like still in French control or whatever. The
I
French
don't
were
think they had
losing.
helicopters in World War II.
It was a maintenance, like a police effort, is what they called it. But
No, it wasn't. They were so in World War II, that was amphibious, right? If we're talking about the beach of Normandy, Vietnam, they took advantage of helicopters because of the terrain, right? Because
yeah, yeah,
you can't
but
drive
they.
tanks through a jungle.
So you have one singular country, Vietnam. It's not split, right? And the southern part, they are able to just. They didn't have to invade it. They were just in there, right?
They didn't invade the southern part; they invaded the northern part.
Correct. Yeah, but if it's one country, can you invade half of it? I
What's your definition of invade?
yeah. Well, I don't. I just
Invade does not necessarily mean amphibious, as in like people come
no,
in
no,
on
no, no, no,
boats.
no. No, I'm just saying that if you have a singular entity where half of it you're allowed in, it's not an invasion at that point. I don't think of that as like you have a sovereign state that an invasion would be is you have a sovereign state or held territory separate that you have no presence in, you have no welcome in, and you have to fight your way into it. That's an invasion in my mind. I see that was with Iraq was definitely an invasion. Afghanistan was definitely an invasion. Uh,
the United
I don't
States.
know the Korean War well enough, but it seems like that's very similar to Vietnam. I don't think of those as invasions. Um,
Okay, so when you have
Now, if there was a North
a
Vietnam and a
million
South Vietnam,
soldiers, when you involve a million soldiers in one country over the span of how long was Vietnam? 10 or 12 years. If that's not invasion, in which is over a million soldiers within that span of time, what do you call it?
well, the French invaded it.
And the French lost, and then the United States tried to take over, and then
So
the
you're
United
saying that,
States lost.
yeah. So you're saying that the moment the U.S. Ships or soldiers, all their people landed in South Vietnam, that they were like fighting in South Vietnam,
They were
or were they invited in?
they were in North Vietnam.
Were they invited in though, in the southern part?
The so the South Vietnam was what do you call it, capitalist or
Yeah.
whatever, and communism was spreading to North Vietnam, hence China, and
Yep.
the United States wanted to curb that, right? They
Yeah.
wanted to curb that spread. So United States decided, with their imperialist views, they decided to attempt to block that by invading. Like it seems like
It's
invading
we're
it
word
doesn't
fighting.
that,
It's what we're doing. I don't think of it as an invasion because they were invited in or they were allowed into the southern part. And in
yeah,
some ways you could say,
but they crossed into the northern part.
yeah, but there's no state line there. So it's not an invasion. Is it a territory? Maybe if you consider them as two separate entities at that point, which maybe they were.
If there's a ruler in South Vietnam, and then there's a ruler in North Vietnam, and they're both recognized by different countries, and countries start siding, like China sided with North Vietnam, United States sided with South Vietnam. They may have planted that ruler or
Yeah.
that leader in South Vietnam, but that's the way they
But
sided. And then the United
so
States went into North Vietnam.
if the United States wasn't there, who's doing the invading then?
There's no, there's no, there's,
The North Vietnamese are invading South Vietnamese. So
they were.
yeah, so they're technically they're not as an invasionary force, but a defense force, right?
Point
I'm
taken.
not justifying the
No,
war,
no,
by the
no,
way.
no, no, no.
I don't yeah.
Good point. Point taken. But the motivation was
Yeah, it's
what's the
proxy
difference?
wars.
What's in common with North Vietnam and South Vietnam?
Vietnam.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They wanted a unified Vietnam. That's what the North wanted.
Yeah, and the South wanted a unified
Just
Vietnam
like
too.
Abraham Lincoln wanted a unified North and South, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was willing
anytime you
to
have a
go to war.
cultural differences, between segments, it eventually will lead to some sort of conflict or whatever. But I'm just saying I don't think of it as an invasion because it wasn't like the South wasn't letting them in. It's like if somebody if you go to someone's house and then you like, okay, imagine this, like you had in a house you've got like uh, just like a crazy group of people that have and I'm not saying that the North Vietnamese were crazy, but you've got a crazy group of people in one room and you've got another group of people that are equally crazy in another room, and one of them calls the cops and lets the cop into the door to do you, or is that an invasion by the cops at that point? It is, depending on what side you're looking at. The second group that didn't invite them in, it's an invasion because now they're, but the people who are on the other side letting them in, it's not an invasion. So it's
It's
all
two
perspective.
but it's two different governments, and I guess, like, I understand your point, right? And it sounds like you're winning right now, right? But what I'm saying is your South Vietnam and your North Vietnam, they had two different governments, right? Regardless of if it's de facto or not for the North, it's two different government entities, right?
Well, back to your Civil War thing. Did the North
Okay.
invade the South? I mean, could you say that they did that? They didn't really, because
Well,
to the
okay.
north it was still a unified United States, right?
Did Sherman go into, like, Georgia and start burning down houses and destroying crops? If that's not an invasion, what is?
Yeah, I mean, there's invasion on the small scale, like anytime that you go into an area, to do stuff, it is. But I'm just saying, it's like it's not an if the country, from your perspective, is holistically the northern part, the southern part, even if they declare themselves as it, you're not actually invading them because they're not a separate country to you. They're like it's a
What
it's an
what I'm
action to remove,
what
like,
I'm capturing from you
yeah,
is,
and so, yeah,
Scott, this is a domestic matter, and so it doesn't fit the definition of invasion if there's a domestic conflict within a country, hence a civil war, and another party intervenes. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, or even just in the case where there's a civil war and one side intervenes against the other. I don't think of it as an invasion. And again, it's all semantics though, because people obviously invade other sides. Yeah, it's
So what I meant
yeah,
by invade is the dropping of platoons from helicopters and this destroying of jungles with the, what do you call it, something orange. What's that thing called?
Agent Orange.
No,
Yeah,
no, that's not. Oh, Agent Orange.
Agent
Yeah,
Orange. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's bad that all that happened, and I just, like I said, I just don't think of it as an invasion in that way. But again, it's all just semantics, the word, and we're like fighting about the definition of it. But the truth is, like, I think we both agree we shouldn't have been there doing that. um, but I don't know that there's a lot of. So there were proxy wars, obviously, with Korea and Vietnam, and what was the only other? I don't know what else, other. Obviously, there was some actual real imperialism stuff going on when we were in the Pacific, right?
Yeah.
Guam was probably not exactly our territory. Um, you could consider all of the whole manifest destiny part
You
of
left
the
out
original forming of the United
we
States.
we invaded Hawaii.
Yeah, yeah, I said that there's all that.
Well, you said Guam.
Well, yeah, Hawaii, Guam. You could say the same thing for all of the Western United States, or the United States forming in the first place was an
California,
invasion. It's all based on,
Texas,
yeah,
Tejas.
yeah. But so was Canada, was invaded and taken by the Canadians, and the Spanish invaded and took much of the southern continent. Uh,
I forgot how we even got to this.
yeah, I don't remember either. It's like something about the
Oh
Palestinians.
yeah, yeah. Well, I was saying, like,
Oh yeah,
I can't be persecuted if I in my will donate to the resistance in regards to Palestinians.
yeah. And I said I think that I don't think that that's a I don't. I think that's a point where that's an acceptable thing to have. It's not, unless you're surrounded by a big Jewish community, which you are.
I am.
No, I mean I sympathize with the Israelis too. I mean, the thing is you've got this country now. Are you supposed to just get, like, what's the solution? Like, sympathizing with the Palestinians is one thing, but if you're also, like, if you
The
think about it
solution
from
is
the
to
Israeli
leave.
side, what to go where? You
That's
just
the problem.
disband, and
It,
well,
it,
couldn't the Palestinians just equally leave? Just
have they been
disperse
there?
into other.
Have they been there?
Have they
Were
been
were
there? Yeah.
were they, did the powers that be hold guns to their head and say, "Hey, remove yourself. We're going to settle here. You need to find somewhere else to go."
Yeah,
Right?
that's what happened to the Jews, right?
That's the thing, is the settlement is the use of force against Palestinians for them to vacate.
Yeah, but it's a history of doing that within the Middle East. Do you
Oh,
think
so it
that
makes
the
it right. It makes it
do you
right.
think that the Israelis were so do you think that the Israelis were never in Israel? Like, the that Jerusalem wasn't ever controlled by the Jewish people?
Okay, so let's all go back to Africa then,
And
including
then we
you.
go back to that.
All
Yeah.
right, let's occupy Nigeria. All right,
That's what, well, the United States did that, didn't they?
did what?
So after the Civil War, they founded, was it Liberia? Was
You were talking about
was
with Marcus Garvey, Marcus Garvin. Um, and back in the Roaring Twenties, I think, with go back to Africa. I think it is. I always confuse Libya and Liberia.
Yeah, I know,
Which
but I
one's Middle
think
Eastern?
I thought Libya is Middle Eastern, but I
All right,
think
so I think it's Liberia then. Marcus Garvey.
so. Liberia began in the 19th century as a project of the American Colonization Society, which believed that Black people would face better chance for freedom and prosperity in Africa than in the United States.
I agree.
Yeah, between the outbreak of the American Civil War, um, 3,198 Afro Caribbeans relocated to Liberia, gradually developing an Americo Liberian identity. Yeah, so interesting. That whole like chunk of history is kind of,
Yeah, what 3,000 out of 20 million, right?
yeah, early colonization. Yeah, anyways, the thing is that the world is like the history of that region is one group taking the space from another group and then another group taking it from another group. And there's no, I don't know that there's a good answer. If you push out the Israelis, where do they go? If you push out the Palestinians, where do they go? Like they should be able to cohabitate.
My,
I mean, is it Islam?
my issue is I disagree with. Oh, well, they were persecuted, victims of genocide in Eastern Europe, and so let's let's give them a place that they could call their own. Oh, okay. Well, let's take another group of people that already have their own, and let's disrupt what they have, and give it to this other more deserving group because their skin color is closer than ours. That's the way I interpret that. And oh yeah, my tax dollars, is it going towards the Palestinians? No, it's going towards the persecution of the Palestinians. And I'm if I don't pay my taxes, in which I know only a small fraction of that supports it, but it supports it. And if I don't pay my taxes, if I don't contribute to that, then I get kidnapped and thrown inside of a jail cell, right? So it's pretty effed up, and I disagree with the policy.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know that I agree with the policy. I just think it's, like I said, it's a difficult, mangled situation, and I cannot see that, just the Palestinian side of this and them being, because I think, like I said, there's no solution in complaining about it. It's like there is no good solution to this problem. One side either has to completely win out and the other side goes away, or they have to learn to cohabitate. Which I said, like Islam allows for that cohabitation, so I don't, like people of the book are allowed to, but then there's like rules about taxes and stuff like that that I'm sure the Israelis would never like. So it's all gets pretty crazy over there,
If the
man.
United States invested the same amount of money in African Americans based on the state of African American culture, the state of the prison system, and which ethnicity tends to occupy the most of it, I could only wonder where African American culture would be today. I'm willing to bet that we wouldn't make up 70% of the prison system if the same effort and the same tax dollars were applied towards programs for us to improve. Like I disagree with this so much, and like, am I getting a little bit emotional? Yeah, I am. I just disagree with it. So
I should get too emotional on your birthday here. It's a fun
yeah,
conversation to be had, anyways.
it is. I'm not screaming at you, but obviously, like, I have very strong feelings about how
Yeah.
things are being carried out.
Screw that.
So.
Fuck off, Scott. I never want to talk to you again. It's surprising how many people just can't like. Actually, I don't know. I've had that with work lately, where so I have like disagreements on with people about healthy disagreements about like how services and stuff should be laid out and where the contexts are and
Oh yeah.
stuff like that. And so it's like whenever we get into that, there's obviously conflict, but it's healthy conflict. But you never know if you're pissing someone off. So like, there's been twice now where after it's like, "Hey, are you okay? I didn't really like, I wasn't really, being mean, and I didn't take anything you said as mean. It's just we got to disagree. We're just agreeing." And it's like, I don't know, man. It's like,
Uh,
people get hurt, so it's like you got to be
It
conscious of
it
it.
happened to me at a previous contract that I had, where I was saying, "This is a greenfield project. Hey, Roman, this is a greenfield project. Me and the other mobile architect, because for whatever reason, you guys have two mobile architects for the same project. What can be in conflict, right?" And we were both on the same turn, me and the other architect, of this is a greenfield project. Like, we really don't need to have this formal, like, enforced pull request in order to push out this MVP. We're all senior developers for the most part. Like, we don't need any bottlenecks, and this is going to be a bottleneck, and this isn't in production. Like, it's safe. No one's being affected right now, and like, yeah, we're all professionals, and so me and the other architect, we had to get the blessings of the patterns and practices committee, who had nothing to do with the project,
Yeah,
and at times, believe it or not, if it's something I'm passionate about, I could articulate fairly well compared to other things that I may not do the best job of communicating. So I communicated. We want to use feature flags, and we want to do trunk based. And it was a committee of like 5 people, right? The patterns and practices, right? And this one dude, he was getting emotional, right? He was raising his voice, throwing up his hands about what we're going to run into, and his group tried it, and it didn't work because it's a failed practice. And I wanted so bad to say emphasis on practice, and maybe you didn't practice it well because maybe your application of that practice wasn't ideal or effective. But I have experience doing it, and I didn't run into that. I wanted to say that so bad, but I know if I say it, it's going to be condescending, right? And plus, that's not going to work out for me based on like other things. So, like, to your point, yeah, some people, there's areas where like they get their body temperature starts to rise. It even happens to me sometimes. I hate quote unquote architects that that their architecture is a file system, right? Meaning, okay, within our solution explorer, we're going to have this folder called models, we're going to have this folder called services, and we're going to have this folder called repositories. Like, one thing I hate that structure, right? Because it tells me nothing about what the system is doing at all. And yeah, I'll just get
yeah,
off my
it's
podium.
application architecture, but but no, I used to get that way, like where I'd get in heated debates and actually get pissed off at times, but like I haven't got that way in a while now. Um, it depends on like how invested maybe I was and passionate about the project and how like if I was feeling like I had control but I didn't have or responsibility but not control. That's where it's the worst. Like,
I've had a grown man in a team meeting cry. I was at FedEx. I had this grown man cry. His voice started cracking, like, because like when I started like digging in and I started exposing, like, for me, if I already know I'm on my way out and I don't want to work here anymore, I start talking reckless and I'll start digging in and I'll
mhm.
start like exposing like things that you didn't do right. And that's usually on my way out when I know that if I can't change my organization, then change my organization. So
Yeah, but yeah, I guess when you get into those conversations and you're with people that you actually respect and want input from and want
yeah,
to understand that it's a totally different ballgame, but you worry that maybe that's how you see it and that they don't see it the other way, and it's just like you got to be super in tune to like the emotions of the situation. I think yesterday, me and this other guy, I was just like, okay, here's the deal. Let's just do this. Let's just assume that we always have the best intentions now and that we're not actually angry. And if we ever do get angry, then let's just come and talk to each other. So
Yeah,
you could
here's
tell me to shut up and go, screw off. And if I feel like you're justified, I'm not going to come and talk to you afterwards.
here's one thing I did. So like one thing that I've done before is so how many times have you been in a meeting in which um I'm gonna be like President Bush, the decisioner um says that they're going to use Git flow, right? And uh and usually what I do to expose folks, especially when I know that there's other options available, is I'm like, okay, that's fine. What other options did you explore? And how did you get to the decision of Git flow or whatever you're proposing? How did you get to that decision? Do you have any empirical evidence or do you have any experience with any alternatives with emphasis on hands-on experience, or is this the only thing that you have experience with, and that's why you're proposing it to all of us as this is what we must do? And I that's usually like a game changer. So I like using that method. Like when they start proposing things, I always ask them, okay, and what other options did you compare this to, and what were the pros and cons? So
I didn't. It's just what we got to use. And I'm in a position of power, so go use it or you're gone. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, that's usually how it works out.
Yeah.
I don't know. The current spot that I work at, I don't deal with those issues. Like every so far, everybody's intelligent.
Find some wood to knock on there, buddy.
Like I don't feel like anybody goes out of their way to demonstrate um, how smart they are and push their agenda uh, for personal reasons. Like knock on wood, but man, like I wish as a contractor, and there's a couple of organizations that I've worked with that were just as professional and just as like seasoned. I just wish that these weren't like the 5%ers of organizations, right? I wish like the majority of organizations that I work with, like they really do have experience with options, right? And they can articulate trade-offs and consequences. Most of the shops I work with, they can't articulate the consequences of certain decisions, but they get emotional to push their agenda.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I think that, like I said, the place I'm in,
so
so far so good.
Roman
So
says, so are you on a good team then? I, Roman, I lead 5 teams. So like it's not that I'm on a good team. It's I I provide technical guidance to 5 teams. So it's and what's different is like my role as an architect with my current organization, I'm actually an architect. The other jobs I that sell me as an architect role, no, I'm just a I'm not even a lead developer. They just pay me more money than usual, but my thoughts, my experience doesn't matter, right? Where I'm at right now, my experience is actually valued, and I like writing documents, man. I enjoy it. It's therapeutic. So
I hate writing documents.
my my design document is now like 55 pages, and then my project design document. So my architectural design document is now like 55 pages. My project design document is like 35 pages. I like writing. It provides you an opportunity to showcase your thoughts without having to communicate it in real time and being a stutterer or having some type of like communication deficiencies. Like
Yeah.
on
No, I get
paper,
that.
you can sound hella intelligent, even if you can't communicate well in a real time meeting.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Uh, yeah. Yeah, I guess because it allows you time, especially to kind of. So for me in meetings, I can get really scatterbrained, I feel like.
Yeah,
So it's like I'll be talking and I'll be talking through a thought and then something will pop into my head and I'll be like, oh, but then blah, blah, blah. And there's people have no context, I'm sure, of what I'm saying. Like I just start to like put on the thinky face emoji and then it's like, oh, sorry, I'm thinking out loud back to the what we talked about. And so, but if yeah, in writing at least you can kind of like have those thoughts and not let them interfere with the message that you're convey. So plus, I guess writing's thinking in general. If you can't actually write out what you're thinking, you're not thinking clearly. So what is
I think it forces you to consolidate your thoughts. Well, it encourages you to consolidate your thoughts. Hi, John Dodgett, Dodgett. I'm slow at writing.
me
A
too?
quick blog post usually takes me hours, but it's often a great way to think things through, research things, because the writing should not be just BS. I haven't posted a blog post, like a legitimate blog post, probably in a couple years. Now I'm up. Now, like when I post to WordPress, it's just like a brain dump of source code with a title on it. I don't write essays anymore, and it's for me. Like I don't care about other people viewing it or consuming it. It's for me to like. And honestly, I visited it like last week in order to grab a snippet of code. So
Yep. Alrighty. Well, I probably should hang her up. Have some cake or something. If you don't have a cake, go get one. Like eat a bunch of cake, some ice cream.
with the dancer jumping out of it,
Okay, that's fine.
I thought about going to the strip club in the
Gotta
middle of the night
celebrate
last
your
night.
gotta celebrate your turn
Life.
around the globe or around
You,
the sun, whatever.
you know, I'm going to celebrate when my motorcycle gets delivered. Like I've been waiting like 3 weeks now, and supposedly it's coming the first week in March. I can't wait.
Did you get your
So
audio fixed in your car yet?
no,
Oh damn, you gotta get that fixed, man.
I still gotta I still gotta what's the word? I still have to file a claim with the Federal Trade Commission now. So the Dade County Consumer Protection, they said, "Oh, yeah, sorry, we can't do anything. We tried." And then Better Business Bureau said, "Oh, we can't do anything. We tried." And so the next two steps is file a claim with the Federal Trade Commission, and then file a file a small claims thingamajig.
Hmm.
But like the last 3 weeks, I've been like so busy with like my 9 to 5, even on the weekends, that which is like the major reason why I haven't worked on my passion project. Short answer is no. I haven't replaced. I haven't had my system fixed. The subwoofers are breaking in. I still don't have any mids, but the bass is becoming deeper now, even though I still don't have mids. Um, yeah, that's it.
Do you sign up for the beer run?
I did not, but I remember what you're talking about. Well, that wasn't until later, right? I
I
thought
think
that
it
was
was in
like in.
February. I
I
don't know, like
got
those
I
things are
got
fun.
I got
It's low
to
key.
relook at it again. I used to do that in Tampa. We would go for a 3 mile run, and then at the end of the run, we would meet up at the bar. We would basically end our run at the bar.
Yeah, that's
So
what these kinds of things are. But it's with small like local breweries. There's a few other, and this one is. Oh yeah, it is a ways out. It's April 2nd, so yeah.
yeah, that's
I've
what I
got.
thought.
There's two of them that are up here where they have two back to back up here that I ran this summer, last summer, which I'll probably do again this year. So it's like a 5K on Saturday and then a 10K on Sunday. I'll run. So
Yeah, just catch a flight to like Georgia or Florida to do a half K or something instead of waiting another what 2 more months for it to warm up.
Yeah, I should probably just move to somewhere warmer. Seems like a good idea. All
All right, we'll catch up.
right. Have a happy
See ya.
birthday then. All
Hey,
right. Bye.
likewise. See ya. Bye, Roman. And I am out. Adios.